So first impressions are really important when it comes to interview. As you learned last year, nonverbal cues make up a large chunk of the way that we communicate with each other. So I want to highlight a few here that I think are important to keep in mind during an interview. So the first is eye contact. So for eye contact, follow the lead of the other person. In some cultures, it is rude or threatening to look someone in the eye. The next one is smiling. You always want to smile. You always want to seem friendly, so that you're more personable and the person that is interviewing you feels comfortable around you. Now there's the handshake. Now, if you and the other person are comfortable with shaking hands, just make sure that it is a firm handshake and it's not overpowering or too limp. In addition to that, you have your outfit. It'll most likely be a suit of some sort. Just make sure that you are comfortable, and minimally you should dress about business casual. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes, about the difference between business casual and business professional. In addition, if you have any tattoos, make sure you cover them up as much as you can. And yes, nowadays employers are more lenient and flexible with tattoos, but just as, again, first impressions, kind of cover them up as much as you can. And also making piercings minimal. So now let's talk about what to wear. So what is business professional? So business professional is solid, dark, or neutral colors. Light colors can be worn, just not anything super bright or super distracting, anything of that nature. Usually it'll be like a suit jacket with pants and or a skirt, depending on your choice. And they should typically be matching colors, but they can be different if you want them to be. Just make sure, again, that they aren't too flashy. So what I'm currently wearing is a black blazer, a patterned blouse, and some blush colored pants. That is okay, and that is considered business professional. I'll talk more about kind of how to dress this particular look up or down depending on what vibe you're going for. In addition, you want to keep your personal items and cell phones turned off and kind of out of sight during your interview. That way you're not distracted. So when you go into interview, make sure you're bringing only the essentials and keeping whatever bag or briefcase that you're taking in with you kind of simple and to the point. So business casual is kind of like daily work attire or kind of like a step down from business professional. So business casual can be nice pants or slacks, some dresses, no jeans or shorts or sundresses. If you're going for business casual, there are some exceptions to that as well. If you're wearing a skirt or a dress, it should be knee length. Ties are optional for business casual. If it is business professional, you should be wearing a tie. Blazers and cardigans are considered business casual. Cardigans, more business casual than a blazer. And then flats, boots, or anything closed-toed, you should be wearing to an interview just because you never know if they might be walking around the building or the offices. So while heels might look nice, as long as they're comfortable, that's all that really matters. And some general recommendations. It's all about first impressions. Again, make sure that your clothes are fitting you well. They're in good condition. Make sure they are wrinkle or lint free. If you have an animal at home, make sure that you have a lint roller on hand to make sure that doesn't show up on your clothes. In addition, you should iron your clothes. I cannot tell you how many times I see people wearing wrinkled shirts, and that just doesn't give a good impression. Your hair should be kind of well groomed and styled. Any nails and makeup should be minimal and kind of natural color palette. You should wear moderate jewelry, something very simple, something very understated. And then if you choose to wear cologne or perfume, make sure it's either mild or honestly, I would suggest not wearing any at all just because you don't know who you'll be coming into contact with during this interview and you never know if they have any allergies of that sort. And again, make sure that any piercings or tattoos that you have showing that they're kind of simple, minimalistic, and they won't call too much attention. And if you're wearing a belt, make sure that they are matching the colors of your shoes and your attire. Again, just making sure everything seems coordinated and then you seem put together. So what I'm wearing, as I said, is business professional. To make this outfit more business casual, I would swap out my pink slacks for a pair of jeans. To make it a step above, even further business professional, I would change out my blouse to a solid color blouse, and then I would change out my pink slacks for a pair of black dress pants to match my blazer. I am wearing also a pair of black flats just because they're comfortable and easy to walk in. Remember, when deciding on what to wear, to always try and dress one step above the normal accepted dress code at the place that you're applying to. And if you have any questions about like what's best to wear or what would be considered what, you can always reach out to ITA staff and we are more than willing to help you out. So now let's talk about the types of interviews and tips for each one. So you have the typical in-person interview. So you should follow the dress code that I laid out previously. You should arrive at least 5 minutes before your interview time, and make sure that you're accounting for traffic, commute time, elevator time, to make sure that you are there on time. And then also be prepared for anything that they ask of you to bring. So for example, ITA tech instructors are required to do a practice teaching demo, and they are required to bring in a lesson plan, some activities, things along that nature. So make sure that when you're setting up your interview time, you ask them if you need to bring anything with you. For a video interview, I suggest still dressing up how you would for an in-person interview. Not only does this put you in a interview mindset, but you are also prepared if you need to get up out of your chair for any reason. So say there's a knock at the door, or if there is a bug flying around your apartment and you just have to get up and leave right away, you don't look ridiculous. Looking very nice from the waist up, but then you're wearing pajama pants. Also, make use of your split screens. Have the video conferencing system on one half of your screen, and then prepared answers for your interview on the other. And that way you can kind of cheat a little bit. Because for me, interviews are a little nerve-wracking, so I do stumble over my words, and kind of having that during a video interview would be really helpful. And we'll talk more about kind of what questions that you could prepare ahead of time later on in this video. Make sure the space behind you is clean and tidy, or you can use a professional background effect if they're available. I know Microsoft Teams offers it. I know WebEx offers it. It's just kind of doing your research on the conference system beforehand. Also, try and go somewhere that is relatively quiet and free from distractions if you can, just because you don't want to be super distracted, or you want to make sure that the people that are interviewing you can hear every word that you are saying. Again, try and test out the system beforehand if you can, and again, log in about 5 minutes before your interview just to make sure everything's working properly. If it is a phone call interview, make sure that you know if they are supposed to call you or you're supposed to call them. Just make sure that is clear when you are setting up the time for the interview. Use headphones with a microphone if you can. This frees up your hands to take notes or fidget if that's what makes you comfortable. Also, do not interview while you are going for a walk, or you're driving, or you're outside. That noise will make it hard for the other people to hear you, and you'll sound like you're distracted and uninterested in the job. In addition, you can have some prepared answers sitting out in front of you. That way, if they ask a question and you don't know right away, you can look at your prepared answers as a backup. ITA staff have all experienced all sorts of types of interviews, so feel free to reach out for individual help on how to prepare for an interview.